discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy. No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Front Porch Forensics deals with the darkest corners of human nature. This show contains graphic discussions of murder, violence, and the brokenness of the human soul. Listener discretion is strongly advised. But if you choose to stay, well, family, pull up a chair on our front porch, but know it gets real dark here real fast.
I listen to a lot of true crime. I listen to it at night. I like the girl talk. It makes me feel alright. I like scary stories in the morning, and I like them at night. I like the girl talk vibes. They make me feel just fine. I listen to a lot of true crime.
Welcome to Front Porch Forensics, friends and family. On the screen there, you see the one about the dating game killer, and it should be a pretty fun one tonight. But KLRNradio.com is where you can always find us and a plethora of other podcasts. And we would love for you guys to come join us right now, but also go check out WKL or KLRNradio.com for this show and many, many others. They are kind of the mothership, if you will, and all the eyes we can get on there, the better. So, like I said, hi, y'all. Welcome back to Front Porch Forensics, where we sit down, dig into true crime cases, and try to understand not just what happened, but why. I am Bump Stock Ken, and you can find me at the FP_forensics on X and Bump Stock Ken on X. And I'm kind of your producer and co-host. Sitting beside me is the lovely and talented and wonderful and infamous Bump Stock Barbie, my wife and my best friend. And if you want to say hi.
Hey guys. I know we've been gone for a while. We've had pageants and proms and all kinds of stuff going on. So
Yep. We will be, while we're on that, we will not be here next week either because it is
Good Friday, Easter weekend.
And Saturday we will be doing some stuff up at the church, have all the event there. It's going to be fun. And then on Resurrection Sunday, of course, will be the next morning. So we'll be tied up with that and enjoying those festivities. And I encourage you all to get together with friends and family if you can this coming weekend and hunt your eggs and look at weird rabbits or whatever it is. But keep in mind the real reason for the day, if you will. So, but either way, tonight, well, this was going to stick with you. I think there's a movie about it even.
There is Anna Kendrick. It's on Netflix. Woman of the Hour, I think it's called.
I believe it's so.
So it was really good. I watched it, but
we watched it. It was all right.
I enjoyed it. But I like Anna Kendrick. But imagine going on a game show, a dating game show in particular. You're laughing, you're flirting, you're playing along with the audience, and the man who wins the date is a serial killer. So tonight we're talking about Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer. He was a man who hid in plain sight, charmed a national audience, and may be responsible for far more victims than we even know.
Yeah, I think so too. Just from, I'm sorry, I apologize for moving around so much. I'm trying to get situated. I think that this one in particular has probably got more out there than what we know about. So, but yeah, so fair warning on this one. It's disturbing, not just because of what he did, but mainly because how easily he blended in. Yeah. And it's funny, we say that a lot about monsters being people, and they don't look
like you would expect them to.
Sometimes they do, but this is another one of those cases where he really doesn't have that monster.
I'm about to say, you saw on the flyer that Daniel had up earlier, that's actually his photo. It was a photo from the dating game, and he's not an unattractive man.
I got some more images I'll throw up there too, real quick.
Say, you can kind of scroll through while we're talking.
Yeah, you just keep rolling there. That's him there.
Rodney Alcala, he was born Rodrigo Jacques Alcala Bucor. It's a Spanish-French heritage type name. He was born on August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas. His father left when he was young, abandoned the family. Eventually, they moved out to California when Rodney was 11. And he is not what you would typically picture as a future serial killer. He was described as academically gifted. He attended private schools. He graduated from Cantwell Sacred Heart of Mary High School. And he went on to UCLA where he studied film and had an interest in photography.
Yeah, and the photography especially plays a huge role in all this.
And especially back in like that day and age, like, late 60s to maybe about mid to late 70s.
Yeah, 79, I believe is when he was caught.
So you're in that kind of like art scene or artsy scene, there's so much that goes into all that kind of stuff. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, him being into photography, studying film and everything like that gave him plenty of access.
Yeah, and again, the photography mainly because it becomes a tool.
Yeah.
And it was a camera is something that's easy to carry around. And there's, I don't know if it's a TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, what it is exactly, but there's this person now who does photographs, and his whole thing is he's walking down the street and he sees usually women. Sometimes it's men, but and I don't mean they're not always like these young, hot looking chicks. Sometimes it's an aged person who's just got this cool look about them, right? And he goes up to them like, "Hey, I'm a photographer." Shows them his digital camera, like, "Here's some of the pictures I took. You mind if I take a picture?" And he does wonderful work. But what he does kind of reminded me of what Rodney Alcala does, because it becomes a tool. This guy,
it's kind of like an icebreaker in a way.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this guy's obviously not doing anything wrong, but it just shows, like you said, an icebreaker like that. But so the camera and photography really does play a part. It comes in pretty strong.
I say, especially with these, young and attractive women and everything, he strikes up a conversation like, oh, you're gorgeous. You would photograph very
Mhm.
well. Like, you could be a model and I can take your photos for
Yeah.
you. And I mean, that's kind of terrifying because, again, this is one of those cases on paper. He looks like he could have had a completely normal life.
Yeah.
We don't have any like instances necessarily. I mean, obviously the abandonment by the father, but there didn't seem to be any history of abuse, either physical or sexual or anything like that.
Yeah, nothing that I could see. Mm-mm.
Very normal, very bright kid. 1961, to me, this is kind of a thing where you kind of start seeing cracks start showing up because he joined the army and he served as a paratrooper / clerk, but he was discharged in 1964 following a nervous breakdown, AWOL behavior, and a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder.
Now, didn't I see where his diagnosis was called extreme form?
Probably. I mean, there are always varying degrees of psychiatric disorders.
Chronic, not
Yeah.
extreme, chronic form.
Yeah. I mean, that's just who he was.
Right.
But
So I guess chronic means it's not like
chronic is ongoing.
yeah,
all the
it's
time.
not like he
it's-
had episodes. It's like something it was him all the time,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's his personality, basically. That's just who he is.
Mhm.
Or was, I guess. But I have spoken about antisocial personality disorder on other episodes. And I'm just going to kind of quickly touch base on that again for any new listeners that may have missed those. But this disorder, this psychiatric condition, it's characterized by a pervasive pattern of disregard for and violation of the rights of others. Individuals who have antisocial personality disorder will often exhibit manipulative, deceitful, and aggressive behaviors, and they have a lot of difficulty conforming to societal norms. This is actually the psychiatric disorder that we most commonly call psychopathy. So, like when you hear somebody say somebody's a psychopath, typically they're going to have antisocial personality disorder.
Is this the most common, broadest antisocial?
There are different personality disorders, and that may be a good episode because, like, you got borderline personality disorder, like histrionic personality disorder. There's a whole bunch of them. Some of them have similar symptoms, but this one in particular, and again, just a quick little refresher of stuff that I've gone over before. The symptoms of antisocial personality disorder are marked by persistent patterns of behavior that violate the rights of others and disregard societal norms. And these are most typically grouped into about 5 categories. So the first one, as I mentioned, is the disregard for the social norms. This is repeated criminal behavior, like engaging in activities that are grounds for arrest, such as repeated harassment and or stalking, theft, assault, fraud, you name it.
Mm.
Then the deceitfulness comes into play with that. Frequent lying, using aliases, conning others for personal gain, or just their own pleasure, just because they enjoy doing it. Then there's the aggressive and impulsive behavior, frequent aggression, including physical fights or assaults, difficulty planning ahead, leading to rash or spontaneous actions that can be harmful or dangerous to other people. The third one, lack of remorse and empathy. That's the big one. That's what we most commonly call a psychopath. They have no remorse, they have no empathy. The lack of remorse is just an indifference or rationalization of harming others, and they're indifferent to or attempt to justify the distress or damage that they cause to others. And lack of empathy, obviously, that's an inability to understand or share the feelings of others, which leads to a lack of concern for their well-being. Then fourth one, persistent irresponsibility, which is consistent failure to fulfill work, financial, or other obligations. And some examples, like you're not paying your bills or you're neglecting your responsibilities. And then the fifth is manipulative behavior. I mean, this is exploitation. You're using others for personal gain without any regard for their feelings or needs. And a lot of time this factors in deceit too, the lying and stuff like that.
So, number 4, persistent irresponsibility, failure to fulfill work, financial, and other obligations such as paying bills or neglecting responsibilities. Is that why a lot of times we see their personal, even though they may show themselves to be clean, but their their personal spaces are kind of crazy and dirty and
So they can be, and sometimes it'll go the opposite direction. Their person is kind of unkempt and disheveled, but their spaces are very, very, like almost compulsively tidy.
I've seen that. What made me think of that is because when we went a couple of weeks ago to the serial killer
hmm
thing exhibition thing, they had a lot of recreations of people's homes. And my friend Dahmer, that show we watched, he was very well clean, well kept, clean, looked good all the time, but his apartment was
a disaster.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people talk about that, where their tidiness, there's just something off in their homes, whether it be just dirty or whatever. And I wonder if that's part of that, because their
It
psychosis.
very well could be. I mean, because it is kind of a physical manifestation of like the dichotomy, that break in their mind,
Right.
from
So,
other stuff.
but you can say that someone can be kind of disheveled and their house be perfect
Immaculate,
as well.
yeah.
Really? I wonder, like Richard Chase, he was dirty on both ends.
Yeah. He was very, very disorganized. I mean, that was a legitimately sick man.
Do you know of one that was meticulous on both ends? Anthony Hopkins' character of Hannibal Lecter would be a example in a movie, obviously. But
Yeah.
do you know of one in real life who was like that?
And nobody comes immediately to mind. I'm sure I could think of somebody.
Another one's that American Psycho. That guy was
Patrick
super
Bateman,
clean,
yeah.
super clean. But again, these are fictional. I was one of those.
I do
real
actually,
ones.
because I watched Hannibal Rising again yesterday, and I actually do want to touch on these like fictional characters in movies, because especially in Hannibal Rising, there's so much psychologically I could unpack there that I think it would make a really fun show.
We could do that. Serial killers and stuff on screen.
Yeah,
that would be a fun
how
night.
it's portrayed that way.
That would be a fun night. So yeah, your typical psychopath, as we understood the word psychopath, is this guy.
I said psychopath is not actually a psychiatric term, but the diagnosis for somebody we would consider a psychopath is 99% of the time antisocial personality disorder.
Okay. So he fit the bill then.
Yeah, 100%.
So where do we leave off at? 1964, when he was discharged from the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, before Rodney Alcala ever became the dating game killer, before the TV appearances, before the multiple victims across states, before the world knew what he looked like and what he was into, right?
Right.
We already had a very clear warning sign, and this is, and this part of the story is not just disturbing, but it's infuriating.
It really is.
We're going back to 1968, Los Angeles, California. And again, not just in this case, we've seen it in other cases before too.
Absolutely.
And
there's always a pattern of escalation.
Yeah, and boy, it just makes me so mad.
So in 1968, everything changes. Tally Shapiro was an 8-year-old girl who was abducted, raped, and severely beaten by Alcala on September 25th of 1968.
8 years old.
She was approached by Alcala on her way to school, and he claimed to know her parents, lured her into his car, and took her to his Hollywood apartment. This was witnessed by a motorist named Donald Haynes. Police found her, Tally, in Alcala's apartment. She had been brutally raped and attacked with a steel bar. And she did survive it, but she was in a coma for 32 days.
Mm-hmm.
8 years old.
Is that the one where the passerby seen it happen? Because
Donald Haynes is the witness that saw Alcala get her into the car and everything.
Was you going to talk about that?
Yeah, too? I mean, we're gonna kind of go back and forth a little bit, and
I just didn't
touch on
jump
some
ahead,
stuff.
So here's where things take a turn, and that is hard to wrap your head around. Alcala was ID'd as a perpetrator because he left his ID card for was it?
I say it
It
just
was
said-
his workplace ID. Is
Is
what
that
it was.
Yeah.
At the scene of the crime, he was arrested shortly after the attack that occurred on September of 1968 in Los Angeles. And after being released, Alcala fled California, prompting another arrest in 1971 in New Hampshire under an alias that he had created.
Yeah, he skipped bail and fled the state.
Mhm.
But I mean, here's the terrifying part, especially, and I'm speaking for you too because we're both parents of a young girl. Alcala did not come off as threatening. He was extremely charming. He was calm. He was soft spoken. He looks normal. And I mean, he was even handsome. So that kind of lowers your guard, you know? Because again, you know, this handsome, well spoken, charming guy. And, you know, now he's telling you that, oh, yeah, I know your parents and everything. She was 8 years old, and this is 1968. Like, we didn't know back then.
Right. And that's the thing too is like you said, we didn't know back then. And that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that these monsters were real and they still are, but nowadays with the social media and which is horrible, but it does have its good things. The smartphones and all that kind of stuff, cameras in everybody's hands.
Right.
You know, you can't get away with nothing. Yes, my phone's pink. And so I think I think serial killers are still active, but they got to be a lot more smart or a lot more sneaky. I don't want to say smart.
They have to be
but
more
most-
clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is something we're going to see over and over again
Mhm.
with Alcala. He doesn't take people in the way that you might expect. He talks them into trusting him,
Yeah.
which is kind of terrifying. You don't get the alarm bells, you don't get the chaos, you get just a conversation with a seemingly nice man.
Right.
And he manages to convince this innocent little girl, only 8 years old, which I can't. You know me, I can never wrap my mind around stuff like that. But convinces her to get into his car.
Right. Yeah, that's what is terrifying about it. And the level of violence here is extreme. This is not impulsive. It isn't a panic attack, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is sustained intentional brutality against a child, a small, very young child.
I mean, 8 years old, that's like third grade?
Yeah, second or third. Yeah. So again, we talked earlier. A neighbor notices something is off. Different accounts say that he either heard something or saw something that just didn't sit right. The accounts I've read, most say he saw it happen and thought this didn't feel right about it.
Right.
And I always think about that moment because that's instinct kicked in. That's someone choosing not to ignore the little voice that says something's wrong. So he calls the police, and little Tali,
I've been pronouncing it Tally.
Tali,
Tally or Tally, T-A-L-I was her
Tali,
name.
yeah. Anyway, he calls the police to tell them what's going on, and the police, good on them, actually respond, and they go in and
Right.
kick the door down, and that's when they discover Tali in the kitchen floor.
Yeah, they discover her unconscious body, and in interviews that I've seen with some of these cops, they said they just knew that this was supposed to be a murder. He never intended for Tally to survive
Yeah, he bashed her in the head.
with a steel pipe.
Yep. So, and then left. So he intended to leave. Didn't clean up anything. Didn't try to hide anything. So he thought that was a death blow when he left.
Right. And I mean, something like that. And I'm going back to, like you mentioned, he got out on bail and everything. And that's when he skipped town. He
Mhm.
fled the state. How? I don't understand it. Like, how can you rape and brutally beat an 8-year-old girl with a steel pipe, put her in a coma for 32 days, and get bail?
I don't know. Nowadays, it surprises me anytime you see New York, California, all those places let people walk. But obviously, it's been going on for decades, letting people out early.
Exactly. I mean, apparently this is nothing new.
No, sadly not. I can't understand. I can't wrap my mind around how any of that would work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
I don't get it.
I mean, she was 8 years old. I
Yeah.
mean, I know at any age, like, you should not release somebody like that on bail, but 8.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this child has not even reached double digits yet.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't make it make sense.
And then the judge is, and we see it often, being lenient, letting these people out.
I mean, it's very, very common, but maybe back then, I don't know, it wasn't as talked about as it is now. I mean, we hear about these cases all the time now,
Well,
and maybe that's like the advent of social media and
I think
24-hour
so,
news
too.
cycles and stuff.
Yeah, I
But we
think
didn't
so,
have
too.
that back then.
No, it makes me wonder how often things like this did happen, though.
Right.
Back then, especially. Maybe it isn't more happening more today than it
We
was
just
then.
kn- we just know
hear
about it.
now. So, but Rodney Alcala ends up on the FBI most wanted list, and here's where it gets even stranger. He's later recognized in New Hampshire, of all places, because he enrolls in a film program under a different name. He's not hiding in the shadows. He's out there living life, interacting with people, and building a new identity. He's finally arrested again, and you think, okay, now there's going to be the real accountability. But the legal outcome doesn't match the crime once again.
Not even a little bit.
No, Tali did not testify at the initial trial because her parents wanted to protect her from any further trauma, and I get that.
If I say as parents, we would do the same thing with our daughter.
Yeah, because
you
you're
know?
thinking they've caught him. As horrific as this is, then they got him. It's going to be
you can't
okay.
fathom that it would go any other way.
So, as a parent, you don't want to put her through that again.
No.
Don't want him in the same room or her in the same room with him. So, as a result of her not taking the stand and nobody really being there to speak out against him, Alcala pled guilty in a plea bargain.
Yeah, it was a plea deal. They gave him the lesser charge of
child molestation. And he served 34 months in prison before being paroled.
I mean, that's it. 34 months
Mm-hmm.
for doing what he did to an 8-year-old.
To me, molestation should still be life.
Yeah, absolutely. Those people, they don't change. The recidivism rate is nearly 100%.
Murder, molestation, penetrative rape, and murder should be automatic death penalties.
Yeah.
Molestation should be life in prison.
Right.
So,
yeah, I'm with you on that one.
34 months. My gosh.
Yeah. I mean, decades later, Tali did finally face him in court. She testified during his 2010 sentencing in California, and that's where he was convicted of 5 murders.
Mm-hmm.
She stated that she felt a sense of duty to see that justice was served. She's actually shared her story on various platforms to bring awareness to these crimes. She was on 2020, the ABC show.
Yeah.
And People Magazine Investigates. And I watch that show all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one. But she still actually remains friends with another survivor named Morgan Rowan. I guess that shared trauma bonded them.
Right. The things to be bonded over, right?
Trauma is a big thing, especially when you survive it and you're not perpetrating it.
Right. So the story becomes even more surreal, I guess, is because you're watching someone escalate. They slip through the cracks, and somehow they get charged. And they basically get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, 34 months, in prison. I mean, that's not fair at all. No, his butt's not even hurting yet. So not only does he get away with all this stuff, and he keeps slipping through the cracks, and he's still out there, I guess, probably feeling unbeatable, right? But he ends up on national TV in the middle of all this. So after everything has happened in 1968, after a child is nearly killed, after he flees, he gets caught again and is still eventually released on parole. He walks right back into society, not monitored in any way, not locked up long term, just back out, almost like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Back out
he's out living his own life, and this is where he becomes especially dangerous because now he knows two things. One, he can get away with it, like you mentioned. He knows he can get away with it now.
Yep.
Two, he knows exactly how to present himself. So he reinvents himself as this charming, intelligent, creative guy. He ended up moving to New York. He goes to NYU's film school, actually studied under Roman Polanski.
Oh, really? I
Uh-huh.
didn't know that.
He made friends. He charmed people. He blended into social circles. He is the opposite of a loner, which is kind of what we typically see. You know, they're not really close to anybody, but he made friends. Like, he was popular. Most importantly, he leans into the photography aspect of it again.
Right.
So he starts approaching women and girls offering to take their pictures. And on the surface, it kind of sounds harmless.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole time period. And I mentioned that guy now even still doing that with his digital camera and putting it on TikToks or whatever. But, you know, 1970s, that California kind of lifestyle, that whole culture of photography
it'd still be
is
like almost the hippie era out there in California.
And photography is really beginning to boom, you know.
Yeah.
People are having their own dark rooms, all that kind of thing. So they're really, I mean, starting to take off real big. Then here comes this guy, like any other guy with a creative hobby, maybe even a little intriguing. Like you said, he's handsome and he's charming. But for him, this isn't art per se. It's access. It's bait.
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
tool. It's a way to start conversations, to build trust, to get people alone. And in many cases, those encounters didn't end well.
Not at all. But 3 years after the attack on Tally, Alcala's dark side comes back. So over the early to mid 1970s, more victims began to surface. They were different ages, different backgrounds, but there are patterns. There's always patterns with serials. Every single time. These were young women, often approached in public places, sometimes lured with the promise of photos, and the violence, as we always know, it escalates. It always gets worse.
Yeah.
But Alcala is still very, very controlled. He's what the FBI refers to as an organized killer. And I mean, like you mentioned Richard Chase before.
Yeah.
Very, very disorganized killer. He made no efforts whatsoever to hide his crimes because he didn't think he was doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Very disordered, just in his mind and in his like physical appearance, his home, everything. But Alcala and other organized killers, they know what they're doing is wrong. That's why they go to lengths to try and hide it.
To cover it up.
Yeah.
Right.
They usually kind of tidy up the crime scene to make sure they don't leave evidence behind. What people like Chase never even thought to do that. Because to him, he was just trying to survive. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right. Yeah. Richard Chase, definitely I think he was the poster child for
demonic possession, probably. Yeah.
Of a unorganized killer.
Disorganized, yeah.
Disorganized killer. I'm unorganized. And I've been driving a lot this past week, so my back and my legs hurting. So I'm trying to move around and get comfortable, and still see you and everything.
You went to bed early last night and still tired today. So,
all right. So June. So let's move to June 1971. His next victim, Cornelia. This is Michael, but I think is that Michelle?
it might be. Could be a typo
Cornelia
on my part. Just Cornelia.
Crilly, a 23-year-old flight attendant from 4TWA. She was in the process of moving into a new apartment with a fellow stewardess, and when her boyfriend got off work, he was surprised to find the door locked and no one was answering the phone.
Yeah, this scene ended up, it was devastating. Cornelia was stripped naked. She was bound. Something was shoved into her mouth to obviously keep her from screaming. And she had a bite mark on one of her breasts. But this was New York in 1971, so police were unable to close the case. They had no leads. Obviously, they lacked the forensic technology that we have today. So her case went cold, and it stayed cold for 40 years.
Because the DNA, the forensics and the DNA back then wasn't
No,
near
we
what
didn't.
they were.
There was the technology that we have today was basically non-existent back then.
Right.
They collected evidence, they logged it in and everything, but it just sat there for 40 years.
And we'll see later. It's a good thing they did log
Yeah.
all that in and collect all that
Absolutely.
evidence. So to the girl, no, Al Qaeda wasn't a suspect then either. After the murder, he changed his name.
Al Qaeda wasn't involved.
Let's say Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
Alcala was not the suspect. After the murder, he changed his name to John Berger and moved to New Hampshire. He landed a job as a counselor at an art and drama camp for girls.
Which, how? This man is a registered sex offender, and I get that he changed his name and everything, but he is a camp counselor at an arts and drama camp for girls.
Yeah, what he did is
Like-
when he got there, he applied for the job and he just made up all this stuff, like the years he was missing in prison, all his history. He just made it up, wrote
Yeah.
it down. They had no internet to check,
No.
so
I
you
mean,
just like,
And
okay,
especially with a new name, why? How would they have connected it to
Mhm.
to him? But this was after. This one is connected to Tally's case. 2 of the girls from the camp went to the post office. They looked at the wall, and there's his photo, big as Billy B. Frigged, on the FBI 10 most wanted list.
Mhm.
They looked up, they said, "Oh my gosh, that's Mr. Berger." So that's what got Rodney Alcala arrested for the assault on Tally.
Right.
But after his release, after only 34 months, like we talked about, Alcala has no trouble whatsoever getting back into the swing of things. He's hired by the LA Times, despite being a registered sex offender. And I think he actually did apply and was hired under his name, Rodney Alcala.
Right.
So he worked there as a typesetter. He was hired to take photos for weddings, and no one ever thought to check into him.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah. Again, this the swinging 60s. So I guess the 70s was we ain't gonna check on shit 70s.
Everybody's gonna be busted for something.
Yeah. Again, just no internet background to check on stuff. Why would you? Because if you had to do a background check, you had to start making phone calls and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if somebody come in and he was, or she, whatever, if they come in and they presented themselves well, they spoke well, they this is
They were articulate.
Yeah.
They looked neat, tidy.
and it's what you're looking for, then why
And again,
not?
he's very, very charismatic. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he was probably a very smooth talker.
Oh, I'm sure he was. So 6 years later, Alcala kills Ellen Jane Hover, a 23-year-old aspiring music conductor who disappeared after leaving her Manhattan apartment on July 15th, 1977. So at this point, he's living in New York, not New
Mhm.
Hampshire.
Yeah, he was found in New Hampshire, got arrested. That's when he did the time for the Tally assault. Then when he gets out, that's when he goes to
Then
New
he
York.
moves to New York
Yeah.
to start the job for the Times, New York
Well,
Times.
it was not the New York Times; it was the LA Times later. But he does attend NYU Film School and everything. That's where he studied under
Okay.
Polanski. But it was in New Hampshire that he was under the name Berger, and he got caught, and they arrested him again, and he served 34 months. for the assault on Tally. So
So a year later, Hover's remains were found in the grounds of the Rockefeller Estate in Westchester County, near an area where Alcala photographed women. He had these spots he would take with good scenery and things like that. So,
and they were also very isolated spots too.
after killing Hover, Alcala went west. He moved through California, Washington, and Wyoming during the late 1970s. Police later confirmed Alcala's involvement in the murders of 5 women in California and Wyoming between 1977 and 1979, before he was arrested for the murder of the last confirmed victim, Robin Samso, in the summer of 1979.
Yeah, I mean, this dude bounced all over the place. November 10th of 1977, he murdered Jill Barcombe. She was an 18-year-old New York transplant, moved to Los Angeles, obviously with dreams of becoming an actress, because extremely common. A man named Matt Murphy, he was a former Orange County Deputy District Attorney who prosecuted Alcala during the 3rd trial in 2010, and told in an interview for A&E Crime Plus Investigation, said, quote, she, Jill, was found brutally assaulted with multiple ligatures, and her face had been smashed in with a rock. So,
with a rock?
yeah, that she was out in one of those remote places that he took these women, you know?
That was one of his places to take and do photographs,
Yeah,
right?
do the photos, but it was really just his way of isolating his victims.
Right.
So about 30 days later after that, he sexually assaulted, tortured, and strangled to death Georgia Whitten, or Wyden, I don't know how to pronounce that name. She was a 27-year-old pediatric cancer nurse who had just moved into her own apartment in LA. She was found in a similar condition in a similar area. And then there was Charlotte Lamb. She was 32, a legal secretary. She also someone with a career, a routine, a life that people depended on. She was approached in public. Again, this pattern of normalcy. Her body was later found, and this one, he posed her body at this point. And that little detail is very important because it shows something beyond just the violence. It shows his need for control, and the staging is a need to manipulate even after death.
So he posed this body.
Yeah,
Did he
Charlotte
do that?
Lamb.
Did he do that to others?
He probably would start to do that at some point, but with staging and everything, if he stages them in similar ways, then that connects all these crimes. So he may have tried to avoid that, but there was something about her that he needed to do this. And
that's so weird. Why this is one, you know?
It's a lot of times these people, they're basically like testing out new tactics, seeing what they like, what they don't like. I mean,
he took pictures of her when she
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a photographer. And then after Charlotte Lamb, we come to one of the more heartbreaking victims, who was Monique Hoyt. You don't have to be so quiet. It's fine. Yeah, I kind of needed a little break right there.
Well, we're going to take a break right now. Lunch after church at my parents' house.
Yeah.
Make sure if they can come, bring. It don't have to be just him. It can be the sisters, whatever you want to do. Yes. Okay. Be careful. She's sneaking away. No one look at the redheaded daughter as she walks out. You saw nothing.
I was never here.
Leave the door open. The breeze is nice.
Okay.
But yeah, I did need a break with that one because, like I said, this is one of the more heartbreaking victims because you know how I am with kids. Her name was Monique Hoyt, and she was only 12. She disappears and is later found murdered. And to me, it kind of brings his whole thing like full circle in a really disturbing way because it mirrors what we saw in 1968 with Tally. This is a child that was targeted, a child that was harmed, but this time she was not lucky enough to survive it. lady you just watched her walk out.
The 8-year-old survives, 12-year-old does not.
No.
And sorry,
And
they
I-
are not used to the daughter's car running.
Yeah.
But so 12 years old, he has and that's the strange thing is that they are the age differences.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I mean,
Right. Usually they kind of stick to a I hate to say a type, or at least a grouping.
But I say they usually do have a specific type in mind when they're hunting.
Right. And I think all the known victims of his were women, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know that we have any cases of him actually murdering men.
Not that I know of. I don't remember seeing any there or not. So, and then we come to Robin Samso, and her case was key. 16 years old, she was out riding her bike, just being a typical teenager.
Which again bothers me because that's our daughter's age.
Yeah.
I mean,
so when she crosses path with Alcala and she disappears. And this case is different because this is the one which finally leads to his arrest. And this is also featured in that movie.
Yeah.
They feature and the movie's called The Woman of the Hour.
Yeah, Woman of the Hour is on Netflix. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was well done.
It takes liberties because it dramatizes a lot of stuff. And some of the facts are a little off, but you still get the pretty good
overview of all his crimes.
But it's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, after Robin disappears, witnesses start to come forward and there are sketches made. And eventually someone recognizes Alcala, but not from anything like a police lineup. They recognized him from TV.
From television.
So for anyone who's never seen it, and I'm pretty sure most people, even if you've never seen this old show or anything, you at least know what it was. It was The Dating Game, and it was a super popular show in the 60s and 70s. You had obviously the bright lights, laugh track, flirty questions. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was harmless. It was safe, or it was supposed to be safe. So you've got one woman who is the bachelorette, 3 bachelors. They're separated by like a dividing wall. She cannot see these men.
Yeah.
They cannot see her. So she asks questions, they answer, audience laughs. At the end, the bachelorette will pick one of those men to go on a date with.
I've got probably
I'm about to say, if you
almost 9 minutes worth of that episode, if you want to watch it, or I can clip it up, whatever you want to do.
No, we still got time to burn. So,
okay.
But this is one episode from 1978. One of those bachelors is none other than our Rodney Alcala.
Yep. So let me pull it up real quick.
Are you done barking?
Headphones if you want to hear.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to skip through the other contestants. We don't really need to see them anyway. So they're not important to the story right now. So we will just kind of shoot through those people. So this is the spot where she asked the people, the bachelors, a question about themselves, and this is the first one where Cheryl first question to bachelor number one, which is
Rodney
Akala,
Alcala.
and so here we go. This is well, you can see the clip. So here we go. That's the only time there is. The best time is night time because that's the only time there is. See, and then she asked about the well, what about daytime and all that? And he's already giving off creepy vibes, in my opinion. What about you?
I say, knowing what we know, of course it's creepy.
Well, to be honest, this whole game's kind of creepy. So
Yeah, a little bit.
So we move to the next question. Here we go. So if you're on this show or in this crowd, honey, how would you react to that clip there?
But I mean, it is creepy. But again, this show is meant to like make people laugh and everything. So
Mhm.
that kind of stuff wouldn't come off as creepy in this
Especially
setting.
in that setting in that day and age. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they're supposed to be, doing the cutesy little innuendos.
Mhm.
And
Well, we
like
can look
that.
at the next bachelor and see his answers too. So yeah, you can see what the whole point of the show is if you're not familiar with it. Out people talk about how the shows back then were they were so sexist and crazy and all that. But we got shows worse now. This
Oh,
The
absolutely.
Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and
But so this one
and
was
all
supposed
those
to be like
things.
innocent fun,
Right.
flirty banter, little innuendos here and there.
Hmm.
That's how it was meant to be.
Right. And it came across that way. And then you had all these. This was the heyday of game shows, the Newlywed
Yeah.
Games, all those kind of things. But this clip, next one, is
Yeah,
kind of the
I like this kind
standout
of
clip.
game show better than like The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, or those dating shows.
Well, first off, in my opinion, shows about any kind of love should never be a game show. I think that's ridiculous.
I say I like this one because you're kind of trying to get to know somebody a little bit as much as you can and everything, and all you're doing is just going out on a date.
There's one
Yeah.
that's called, what is it called, the match game where it had couples. That one was fun.
Yeah, I
If
think
you,
so.
you already know each
Yeah.
other. But anyways, so this is probably the more what's the word, most popular clip of that come out of this show would probably be this clip here. So that's kind of like the main one they pull from is from
Yeah.
that clip. And
I mean,
it-
but you can see he was very, very charming.
Oh, yeah.
Very charismatic.
yeah, there's a
He
reason.
stood out.
Yeah,
against the
there's a
other
reason he
contestants.
wins this
Yeah.
competition. Because good looking guy, which you don't know that part yet, but he answers in a fun kind of way, but and like I said, I guess it's charming the way he carries on.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely, it is.
now,
Like, if we didn't know anything about him, I would be watching this clip and think, okay, he's adorable.
mhm. Yeah,
Like, if I did not know anything about this man,
mhm.
I would think, okay, he's good looking, he's funny, he's got a sense of humor, charming. Like, yeah, I can see why she picked him.
Right. Well, we'll see how this plays out too. Mhm.
And there's that image we used.
There's that iconic image right
Mhm.
there. So
But yeah, knowing what we know, it's just creepy.
yeah, like you said, knowing what we know now, though,
Right.
back then it was different. We didn't. Your mindset wasn't set on somebody being dangerous to his level. And I mean, this is a game show. They don't let crazy people on game shows, so it was
they
it was a
know of.
perfect storm back then.
Uh-huh.
And again, good looking guy, especially for the time. Um,
I mean, even today, even with the Farrah Fawcett haircut, I'd still say, okay, he's an attractive guy. I mean,
yeah, yeah. He ages not so well. We'll see
no,
that
not at
later,
all.
but he definitely used it to his advantage. Yeah. We got some in the chat says, hey, I didn't know you guys had a podcast. Outstanding. Thank you, Lyle. Now I know what I'll be doing on my Saturday nights. Well, we'll appreciate it.
Awesome.
We're not here every Saturday. We try to be, but we mentioned earlier being Easter weekend, we'll be off next Saturday.
And then the last month or so, pageants, proms,
Yeah.
everything else going on.
So, life
we've been
gets in the
trying
way
to pick back up.
sometimes.
So
You can follow us on FP_forensics on X, or
it's in my bio too. So
it's in Laura's bio at Bump Stock Barbie on X. And you can click on it and you can kind of see upcoming shows, what it's going to be about. And you can always find this later. I'll mention later. You can always find this on any podcast player, Spotify,
even
Spreaker,
Apple,
all of them.
wherever you get podcasts, you can find
Yeah,
us.
just go to your favorite podcast player, search in the bar there for Front Porch Forensics, and it'll show you all our old shows.
Mhm.
They normally run between an hour to 2 hours, and there's like 45 episodes out there. So yeah, go check us out, catch up, leave us a 5-star review. Even if you have to lie about it, we still want it. I'll send your money, the checks in the mail. So anyways, back to what we was talking about. He played this character, if
Mhm.
which I don't think that was his real self. He played this character so well on TV. And
I said I think that what we saw in those clips and everything, that's how he got these women and these girls to go along with him.
yeah, and you saw right there what we just was playing, that you have to keep in mind at that point, he had already committed all these violent crimes, multiple crimes we mentioned earlier.
Even a couple of murders at
Yeah.
this point.
And we'll visit them again at the end of the show, but there are victims behind him, and very likely more that we don't even know about yet. And here this guy is, this good looking monster, sitting with the spotlight on him, just smiling and joking and
Having a good old time.
flirting.
And as a woman, here's what makes it so unsettling to me. He doesn't seem out of place here at
No.
all. Like, he is relaxed. Like I said, he's charismatic. He's not out of place. There's nothing really that just on a like the superficial watch and the clips and everything, if you didn't know anything about him, there's really nothing there that would make you think this person is a monster.
No, not at all.
You know? He gives the answers that are playful, sometimes a little bit bold, like with the banana comment,
Mm-hmm.
little edgy, but not enough to raise alarm here. Just enough so that he stands out apart from the other two contestants.
And you can find this on YouTube, this whole
The whole
episode, what we
yeah.
were showing, and you can see that the other contestants, they were given innuendo type answers as
Right.
well. So
I mean, that was kind of what made that game fun.
Mhm.
You know, it was a little bit bawdy, but innocent in its own way still.
right,
But I mean, you can obviously tell, that, like you said, that he's performing.
yeah,
Like, and I think that performance is also how he got the other girls and women.
yeah, I think so.
Like, he leans into this like smooth, slightly rebellious personality, and that's the kind that gets attention.
Mhm.
And it works. It really does. The audience laughs, they engage with him. They like this man.
Mhm.
And at the end of the show, the Bachelorette, who is Cheryl Bradshaw, she chooses him.
Yep.
Out of those three men on that stage, she picks the serial killer.
Yeah, and like you said, nobody in the room knows.
No.
You know, not the audience, not the host, the producers, the people that interviewed him to get him into the show. No one picks up on this.
I said there
nobody
apparently
knows.
were no real red flags for any of these
Mm-mm.
people. But it
Oh.
is interesting because something does happen. Once the cameras are off, the show is over. Cheryl Bradshaw changes her mind, and she does it. She refused to go on the date.
Yeah.
And when the producers and stuff asked her why, she said that he made her uncomfortable.
Well, at the very end of the clip, when they're wrapping everything up, they tell them that hey, you've won. Your date is I think it was tennis lessons from some famous tennis coach in the area, and then dinner out somewhere. And then the host says, now you can go sit right over there and get to know each other. So they got a place right offside that they can sit and talk. And
Right.
and between her picking him, laying eyes on him, hey, here's what you won, go sit down till the show wraps up, just a 5-minute window. She changes her mind and says, no, he creeps me out, I'm not going.
Yeah,
So
that's
it
what
makes
she
me
told him.
wonder.
It makes her uncomfortable. She said that he felt off.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what he talked about while they was over there.
Yeah, I wish we were privy to that. But I mean, this is that is one of these moments that people and us, we keep going back to. You know, she couldn't explain it, but she felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I always tell our daughter, God gives us these instincts for a reason. That little voice, that still small voice in your head, that's saying, "Hey, something's not right." Listen to it.
Pay attention. Trust your gut. You know.
And I mean, another thing that I always tell her is because our kid has like a huge heart and everything, and she never wants anybody to be upset with her or offended by her or anything. And I tell her all the time, when something feels off, your safety is more important than their feelings.
Exactly right.
So you can risk offending them. It'll be okay, but you will make it home at the end of the night if you just trust your gut.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what we keep coming back to, because whatever they talked about after, their little segment was over, something triggered those alarm bells in her head. And she is extremely lucky that it did.
Yeah. Yep. And it's life-saving that she did,
Her listening to that instinct saved her life. Because I fully thought that, knowing what we know about him and everything, winning the date and everything, she never would have been seen again.
I don't think so either. No. I think if in that situation, that probably would have been the end of him as well, because it was so public.
Yeah, exactly. She turns up missing after the date and everything. Come on.
Right.
Yeah, there would have been no way around that.
I don't think so either. So, but this Rodney Acala,
I always say, some I've heard Alcala, like the host of the dating game, said, but I've always said Alcala. I don't know why. Like, it's just the way my brain reads it.
Got Pam in the chat. Hello, Pam.
Hey, Pam.
Um, yeah, so Alcala is a perfect example of something we don't like to admit, that dangerous people don't always look dangerous. We've said that many times in the
Let's say,
past.
look at Ted Bundy.
Yeah. They can be charming. They can be funny. They can be the person everyone in the room likes. They can be that quiet, unassuming guy that sits in the corner that thinks is the harmless as can be.
Right.
It
The
can,
wallflower type.
yeah, it can be the secretary of your church sitting in his office.
Yeah.
You know, and all while this is happening, while he's winning a date on TV in front of the cameras, the investigation into his crimes is getting closer and closer. That net is starting to cinch in
Mhm.
because not very long after this, everything begins to start catching up to it.
Yeah.
There's too many things that are starting to fit together and piece together that points back towards this one person, to this
Mhm.
one cause, and it winds up
Yeah.
being more towards him.
I mean, you look back at that clip today, and it's hard not to feel unsettled
Mhm.
because you're watching someone hide in plain sight. I mean, he's not in the shadows; he is literally in a spotlight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he can't be any more in a spotlight.
visible.
Yeah.
This is national TV,
and this
you
was
know?
like this is back in the heyday of 3 channels TV.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, like you said, this is when like game shows really started to pick up steam too, and everything. They were fun. They were lighthearted. It was just enjoyable to watch, and this was one of the more popular ones.
Mhm.
So there were, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of eyes on him at this point.
Right. And while all this is
I don't know if the mics picked that up, but that was funny.
yeah, the dog making noises.
He's grumpy.
So while all this is going on, while Rodney Alcala is out there winning dates on national television, law enforcement is getting closer, and not because of the show, but because of a victim. So now let's circle back to 16-year-old Robin Samso, which I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who was riding the bike when she disappeared, and it's a bright yellow bicycle.
I say she was just an average teenage
I don't know
girl.
that it
just-
matters, but every report I've read always point out that it was a yellow bicycle.
Yeah.
Witnesses later report seeing her talking to a man, and the man matches the description of Rodney Alcala, and a witness comes forward to tell police that this man was just on the dating game.
Yeah. I mean, now suddenly this charming, charismatic guy from a very popular game show is the main suspect in a missing persons case of a teenage girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one that charmed everybody so much on the game show. They're like, oh, we need to talk to him about this missing girl.
So Rodney Alcala is arrested in 1979, and this time investigators start digging very deeper. They start actually looking further into this guy.
Right.
And so this is kind of what we find, and it's pretty overwhelming as far as this goes.
They get a warrant and everything. They start to search his belongings. This is where they uncover hundreds and eventually thousands of photographs that he's taken. They're women, they're young girls in different locations. Some are identified, a lot of them are not. But at that moment, this case became so much bigger than just that one victim.
Yeah. I want to pause for a second. Your Aunt Pam says, I remember seeing him on the dating game.
So she watched that one.
Do you, Pam, did you think he was off or weird or strange during the show, or is that kind of just fitting the vibe of the show? Whenever you get a chance to answer that, that'd be cool, because I'm interested in that.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, just if you take out what we know about this man and you just watch it, again, he doesn't seem there's nothing on the show that makes me question anything.
Yeah, looking back on it now, it's always easy to pick up on little things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you see
hindsight's 2020.
Like when you see something like, oh well, in most any case we see when somebody gets caught or busted, somebody always says, well, he was always this or he was always that or
Right.
Or it always seems like hindsight, you can see everything a lot easier.
It's 2020.
Mm-hmm. So in 1980, he goes on trial for the murder of Robin Samso. The prosecution presents their cases, and he's convicted and is sentenced to death. Now, this was in California.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think, well, that's it, right? Caught.
You would think.
But we've seen him how it
Skate
seems to
by.
work out before. So, but it's not it. The conviction is overturned on appeal because issues of how prior crimes are presented in court. So what happened is the judge allowed the rape or the child molestation,
Yeah.
and stuff like that to be used in this case, even though this case had nothing to do with that.
Right.
So because of that, they basically threw it out on appeal.
And I can see why the prosecution would want to do that
Yeah.
too, because it does show now this pattern of behavior that goes back
Yeah.
years and years. Like he's been doing this. He's been assaulting people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he nearly beat this little girl to death.
And see, to me, that's what's frustrating about it is like I don't think you should be able to show your past when it's connected to something that you're doing now.
But when it's related to this
Yeah.
pattern of behavior that he's
So
on
I think
trial
that should
for,
be allowed in court, but the law says it's not because it's a different case.
Oh, sometimes, every now and then, a good prosecutor can get it entered
Right.
in, but
So
it
now
was not in this case.
they throw that case out and they have to completely retry it. It's a brand new trial on it. So in 1986, he's tried again for the same case, and again he's convicted, and again he is sentenced to death, and again it doesn't stick.
Nope.
The
Like you
conviction,
said, it's infuriating.
the conviction is overturned again, this time due to concerns about how witnesses were handled. So now here we are, we're years deep into this, from 79, 80, all the way to 86, 87. And there's still no final resolution at that
No.
point to that one murder.
And I mean that's insane to me. Like I know that there are like legal precedents and everything, and you have to adhere to stuff like that. I get it, but how many times do the families of these victims have to relive this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's at one point, does justice just start to feel unattainable for them? It would for me. Like I
Mhm.
would be so frustrated if it was like if it was our daughter, or somebody we loved, somebody in our family or something. Justice would feel unattainable to me at this point.
Well, I saw a video of the mother of Samsoa
Mhm.
that she felt the same way of what you're saying, is that the frustration building up, never getting that peace and all that, and finally, when it finally does stick, she goes back to the court every time it's going on.
Yeah, I would.
And
too.
finally, when it does stick, she just out loud says, "Thank God!" Like finally, she
Yeah.
gets some justice. So,
Yeah.
to break in real quick, your Aunt Pam has answered.
Okay.
I was like 12 years old and just thought he was cute, and he seemed just like all the other guys.
Yeah.
So,
Told you he was handsome. He was charming. He was a hoot on the show, honestly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
take
Like I
out
said,
what we know about him, and it's not shocking that she picked him.
yeah, on the YouTube, the clip I pulled, if you want to go back and look at it, which is the full episode of the Dating Game Serial Killer, and it's on YouTube, and the user that put it up is
Carol
Daronch. Carol, Carol Daronch, Daronch. And she's the one who posted the clip originally about a year ago. It's 9 minutes, 45 seconds. It's the entire that
Segment with
episode
him,
without
so.
commercials of that dating of the dating game that day. It's on YouTube, real easy to find, and you can watch all of it. It has all the other contestants and their answers, and you can you'll be able to see how he compared to the other ones.
If need be, we'll post
Now-
it to the FP, the Front Porch Forensics Twitter page, and we can share it to our pages too. So.
Yeah, if I feel like doing that. Now, Pam says that my mom wouldn't let me watch the show again after they all come out, that she wouldn't let her watch the dating game anymore.
I'm sure they really, really upgraded their screening process after
Yeah.
that.
So after that, I mean, you had to go back to the more family-oriented games like the Family Feud,
Yeah.
where the host would tongue kiss all the women on the panel. every time he
that
greeted
was
them.
kind of
So-
awkward. You see those clips and everything from the older shows.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
That was that good family oriented. They like that dating game. This is about family stuff. So the 70s, man. The only thing worse is Japanese game shows nowadays. Or maybe I should say better instead of worse.
Yeah. So they eventually do get justice and everything for all of his crimes. But it's not until the early 2000s, decades later, that he is tried again.
Mm-hmm.
This time, the case is actually stronger. They did retest and they got forensic evidence. It had improved at that time, and prosecutors were able to now present a clearer picture of who Rodney Alcala was.
Right.
DNA linked him to additional murders. They were cases that were unsolved for like years and years. Were now starting to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. So the scope of what he's done just got bigger.
So
you were pulling up pictures, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pulling up pictures. I'm sorry. So I'm going to run through some of the pictures of where he was going through trial
Yeah.
and things like that. And his last attempt, I guess, in the court, he actually represents himself as his own lawyer.
You know that old saying about that? Any person who acts as their own lawyer has got an idiot for a client.
Yep. So running through some of those photos, Rodney Alcala, and here this was his first arrest mugshot. Young, and that's
The Huntington Beach.
yeah, that's 1979 is where that mugshot was taken. So this was 1979. So this would be the Samsoa arrest, wouldn't it?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah. And then later on, you see how he's kind of aging because what's funny, not funny, this is 1997. I'm not going to say funny. What's interesting is these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 murders that he's actually charged with.
I think he was convicted of 5 that we're going to talk
but
about.
yeah, I'm going to mention before we get too far into that.
I mean, he looks completely different in that photo to me.
Right. So, yeah, I had to check and make sure it was actually him.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: like he gets arrested for Samsoa, gets life 3 different times because they have to keep doing it, right? And this isn't on the script anymore. This is just what I was getting into earlier today. He gets arrested for Samsoa, and then they tie another murder of an 18-year-old, Jill Barkham, and we'll go through these names in the in memoriam in a little bit. But, so they have to try him in a separate case for it, and he gets, I think he gets 10 years or something. Let me look up exactly. I hate to do this online, but
So that's why I always try to have us notes printed up.
yeah,
so.
and I'd come across this later, and so this is why it wasn't in the notes.
By the way, while he's looking that up, there's a good little section. I don't know if y'all can see the book or anything.
Hold on, let me get it to a.
Yeah, this
There
is.
you go. It's reversed, but that's that serial killer.
Yeah, it's Serial Killers of the 70s by Jane Fritsch. I'll put a picture up later too, but there's a little segment in here for. We've got him in here because the 70s were a big decade for serial killers. We got Dean Coral, which we covered before.
Mm-hmm.
We got Rodney Alcala, Ed Kemper, David Berkowitz. We got Bundy. You know, stuff like that. It's a really fascinating book. Carl Eugene Watts, we got him, Gacy. But yeah, y'all know me. I've been obsessed with this kind of stuff forever. So if you can find this book, I think I got it at Second and Charles. because they have a whole true crime selection.
More than
too.
likely, you got it second in Charles. You get everything with second Charles.
But yeah, I have a whole section on our bookshelf in the bedroom that's just my true crime novels and my psychology books and
shelf,
stuff.
It looks like you walk into a bookstore, like you know.
We have a library in the bedroom, basically.
So let's see.
You able to find it?
Yeah, I'm having to read through real quick. So, notable charges and records in Wyoming. Let's go back here. So the first one in 2010, the California convictions. After two previous convictions for the 1979 murder of Robin Samso were overturned on appeal in 1984 and 2003. Now, remember, in 79, he was arrested. 80, he was put in jail. So during all this time, he's in prison
Right.
doing all this stuff. They're just finding these other cases to attach to him at this point. So it's not like he's getting out and having to retry it and go back in. He's on death row in California, having to do all these appeals and everything. So at 2010 trial, finally secured the latest death sentence for Alcala, and he was convicted for. He's got 5 counts of first degree murder, specifically for the deaths of Robin Samso, age 12, kidnapped in Huntington Beach, California, 1979. Jill Barkham, killed in Hollywood, 1977. Georgia Wetsted, a nurse murdered in Malibu, 1977. Charlotte Lamb, found in an El Segundo laundry room in 1978. And Jill Parentia, killed in her Burbank apartment in 1979. Those are the 5 key ones that he is charged and got death sentence for all 5 of them.
Right.
All right. Now these death warrants.
Yeah.
The circumstance of these charges included multiple counts of kidnapping, rape, torture, and other things associated with these murders. So when we moved to 2012, 2013, that was California. This is New York. Cornelia Crowley, a flight attendant, we talked about her, in Manhattan in 71. Ellen Jane Hover, the conductor who vanished in Manhattan, in 1977. He received an additional sentence for 25 years to life for these crimes. So he didn't get death. He got 25 years to life in New York.
Right.
For those. So 5 to death, 2 life sentences.
And I think the ones I've got were only the ones from California.
I'll keep all this up
Yeah.
for. And then other notable charges with records. Wyoming, 2016, he was formally charged with the first-degree murder of 1977 for the death of Christine Ruth Thornton, who was 6 months pregnant. These charges were later dismissed in 2021 because Alcala was too ill to stand trial. Wyoming said that he was so ill they couldn't extradite him.
I do believe he died in 2021.
21.
Natural causes, from what I read,
but they said he was too ill to move, and I think he did later die that year. But and they didn't pursue it because they said, "What's the point? He's already there. It's over." So they didn't actually pursue that case,
right?
Which kind of sucks for the family.
It does,
but at least they know what happened, even though it
Yeah.
wasn't formal. They got that closure.
There's some closure there still.
So also an early criminal record, 1960s, before his murder spree fully uncovered, Alcala was convicted of the child molestation in 1972 and brutal assault of the 8-year-old Tolly, served his 34 months. And he was also convicted of assaulting a 13-year-old girl shortly after his release in 1974. And again, nothing happened.
Right.
And the reason that there was so long before we got to these charges, because they started coming in 2010, really, they started adding all these charges to him, is because we mentioned earlier they had all this DNA samples, they had all this evidence and stuff, but they couldn't look it up.
Right.
They couldn't
I say the technology just
Yeah. So
wasn't what
basically,
we
the
have now.
technology caught up
Mhm.
with him, and he was and they're able to pin all
Tie
these.
him, yeah.
Well, I won't say pin. They to identify him as the culprit, as the murderer, and all this stuff. So that's why they started adding all these charges to him. Not that it's going to change anything; they just added the charges to him. Now, I say it's not going to change anything, but yes, the Grand Governor of California has went and ended. I don't remember what year he did it, but if you want to look that up real quick, it's Gavin Newsom stopped. California is a no-kill state,
Yeah.
and that act, after all this was done, after all his charges, after everything he went through, after all the court appearances, after all the many death things that he went through, all the charges he's had, he winds up Governor Newsom gets rid of the death penalty, so now he's not facing death anymore. He does die eventually with natural causes.
Yeah. What I'm pulling up here, Governor Gavin Newsom placed a moratorium on the death penalty in California, which affects inmates like Rodney Alcala, a serial killer who was sentenced to death in 2010. But yes, he died of natural causes in 2021 while on death row.
Mm-hmm. But either way, I mean, since they won't honor the death penalty anymore, he would have died in prison no matter what. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. You can't say that he died early because he's no longer facing the death penalty. But he did die of natural causes. And here's some pictures of him in court. And there's one where he was his own lawyer. Let me find that one, where he was his own lawyer.
Like that one, he kind of looks like an aging Weird Al.
I thought that too, but I didn't want to say that because I like Weird Al and I don't want him to.
Don't want to associate
Don't make
that.
him mad, but absolutely not. But yeah, I mean, that's him as his lawyer. It's pretty weird to see him all dressed up as a lawyer, still in handcuffs.
Yeah.
But that's just the way they do it. And they said that I'm trying to remember the song that he played in court as his final remarks, because the final thing he told the jury as lawyer to represent himself was that if you give me the death penalty, that makes you just like me. You're just a killer too. That you're just hiding behind. You're getting off on killing with the protection of the courts or something like that.
Yeah. He actually wrote a book too, still like professing his innocence. I forget the name of it now, but
something probably about the Liars Club. But so when we look at the full story of Rodney Alcala, it's not just about what he did. It's about how long it took to stop him, how many chances he was given, how many times the system almost got it right. And you can't help to wonder if things had gone differently in 1968, how many times would have been different. How many women and girls would still be alive. Tonight's case is a hard one, but it's one that reminds us that sometimes the scariest people are the ones that we never look out of place. And we've discussed that before, how they always look kind of normal.
Yeah.
So it's 8:30 now. Do you want to go ahead and move on to the in memoriam? Or
I think we've covered all the details.
Okay.
So
well, as always,
here you've got the full list. I've got 5. I've got the ones he was like.
I don't know that these are in order or not, but that's them. If you want to start with them, I'll get this going. But tonight's hard case is one that reminds us that sometimes the scariest people are the ones that look normal. And as always, here on Front Porch Forensics, while the details of these cases are important, what's more important are their victims. So before we close tonight, as always, we want to take a moment and remember the people that's the center of the story. not as headlines, not as part of the case, but as individuals. And I need my phone back. And you want me to read them off because I'm gonna have to play music from this too.
Well, just sit
So-
down and I'll.
I had photos of the victims, and there was some pretty graphic ones that were given by the family during the cases and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to show those.
No.
So what I found was just a kind of a collage. So I don't really have per name. Oh yeah, this is. Let me show this little asshole one more time before we're done. This is what he looked like at the end, right there.
He
So
looks like a completely different person.
yep, completely different person. So here are the ones who we want to remember.
We want their faces and their names.
Some
to
of
be the
these are
last thing you
victims.
see.
Some of these are just some of the photos that he used, that he took in his cameras. And it's hard to separate the victims from the ones that are just photos
Right.
on the thing.
That they discovered as evidence. Yeah.
Because some of these are children. I mean, very, very minor children that aren't victims. And some of the people on here are the ones that he targeted. So I'll leave that up for a minute. Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to let you read through the names then.
Okay. Do you need that still?
Oh, sorry.
You've got the more comprehensive list. I've got ones that he was just convicted of. But the 5 counts that he got for first-degree murder, obviously Robin Samso, she was 12. I think some of my notes had said 16, but Jill Barkham was 18. Georgia Wickstead was 27. Charlotte Lamb was 32. Jill Parento was 21. We've got Cornelia Crilly, 1971 is when she was murdered. Then Ellen Jane Hover in 1977. We've got Christine Ruth Thornton. And then on my list, we've got Monique Hoyt, who was 12. And we also want to remember Tally Shapiro, the survivor. She was 8 years old when she crossed paths with Rodney Alcala, and she lived to tell that story. We remember her and other women and girls who also survived encountering Alcala. And then, as always, there's the ones we don't know. Could have been over hundreds suspected, but none ever confirmed. The faces in the photographs, the names that were never unearthed and recorded, the stories that were never told. It's believed that there could be many, many more victims, possibly dozens, maybe even over 100. And that means that there are more families and friends and people who never got answers and closure. So tonight we're going to remember all of them, named and unnamed, because God knows who they were. They mattered, they were here, and they're not forgotten.
As always, we want to make the victims the ones that are remembered and honored. This show never intends to sensationalize these killers. It's just the theme that we have to talk about, and so they are the whole.
Information and knowledge is always power. The only way we can stop people like this in the future is by studying the ones that came before them.
Yeah,
We know what to look for then. We know the signs, and maybe one day we'll be able to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, we have to focus on the monsters, but we want to leave them in the dark at the end of it. We want to shine the light on the victims and the families of the victims.
Their
afterwards.
names and their faces should be the last thing everybody leaves our show with in their minds.
Well, we're a little early tonight, 8:35, but I feel that's a good steady thing.
I don't think we really have anything else that we can really touch on for this.
The movie, there's a few movies out there, but if you want to check them out, there's plenty of movies. The Dayton Game Killers, one, an older movie. The
Woman of the Hours on Netflix.
And that's the
Anna
newest
Kendrick,
one with Anna
and it was
Kendrick.
very well done, I think.
Yeah, some liberties were taken, but it's still a good, still well done movie. Again, on YouTube, there's a plethora of stuff you can find. Look it up. But again, always approach this stuff with the victim's mindset, and they're the ones that need to be honored.
They're the ones that matter. I mean, good
Mhm.
riddance to Bad Rubbish when he died. So
Yeah, the last show we posted, it's on YouTube now, was when we talked about that serial killer exhibition,
Mhm.
and even the exhibition ended with a hall was full of victims' photographs and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and each individual exhibit also had a list of the victims and things like
had
that
their
too.
photos.
So I thought overall it was a good representation, and I was happy to see it
Yeah.
because we've always done our show that way. So it was nice to see that they did their
The
presentation the
exhibition
same
that
way
way
too.
too.
So
I mean, they did have that one room which we took no pictures in because it was actually crime scene photos or
mhm.
photos that the killers themselves took of their victims. And like, I actually got upset at that one because I was telling him about Choked Up that that's not how those people deserve to be remembered at
No,
all.
not at all. So we want to shine our porch light on those that are worthy to be remembered.
Mhm.
The rest of them can rot, as far as I'm concerned.
I say
The
we can
killers.
learn from these people, learn the signs, everything to look for. We can learn from them, absolutely, and I think that's necessary. But at the same time, like, they are really not to us the important parts of these stories.
And I mentioned our YouTube channel. Tim just asked about that. So, do you have a YouTube channel of your own? And yes, we do. There's the KLRNradio.com, KLRN Radio YouTube channel, and we're on that some too. But Front Porch Friends, it has its own YouTube channel, just us. All our videos aren't on there yet because we just started at the first of the year, really. So I don't have all our shows on there. There's 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 on there, full shows.
And since about 2024, most of ours were just audio only.
Yeah.
So
So on YouTube, it is Front Porch Forensics on YouTube. You can look us up and find us there. And this show will be on it from here on out. I'll be putting them on YouTube on Front Porch Forensics also. But KLRN Radio has a YouTube channel as well, and we're usually get posted it also. But just for us, for Front Porch Forensics, we do have a YouTube channel. I have a Twitch channel that I'm trying to figure out how to make that work yet. I think that's just for live streaming, but we are on Bump Stock Barbie, the KLRN Radio, and I usually a few others will host us live on X, stream us live.
right.
We'll be on all the podcast catchers, audio only, immediately after by the next day. And then on our YouTube channel, it's usually posted the next day. And it has the video, obviously. You can look and see how pretty I am. So, but yeah, please check us out. Follow, like, subscribe, the whole thing that they tell us to do.
Tell
And
your friends about us.
yeah, spread the word, especially on the YouTube channel one, because I think that's something that we can utilize and grow. So Front Porch Forensics on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever else you're supposed to do. We are on X at FP_forensics, our a standalone page show there. So check it out, follow us, do whatever you got to do, whatever you're supposed to do on X. We don't have a Facebook or a
No.
Instagram yet.
No, I haven't made
I
any
will
of
work.
those.
I will
so.
make those soon.
Okay,
I'll start making.
yeah.
I'll get on. I'll start making some of those as well. But for me, it's Bump Stock Ken on X. That's really all I advertise on. FP_forensics. I help run that. I will get a Instagram page and a Facebook page going for us, and start posting there as well. We have a TikTok page, but I'm not really sure how to do TikToks. But we'll eventually start posting shorts there. You got to be so
Yeah.
careful about what you say on TikTok.
Exactly.
So it's
All the true
hard.
crime accounts that I
Yeah.
watch and everything, you have to be extraordinarily
Yeah,
careful
it's-
how you phrase
It's really
things.
hard to know what to say on TikTok without getting banned. So,
Right.
but I will start getting social medias up to par for Front Porch Forensics specifically. But again, Front Porch Forensics on YouTube. We are there. Check us out. So, where you found that?
My main page, y'all can find me Bumpstock Barbie. I write for Twitchy as well. I've got my author page linked in my bio right there. I actually run several other accounts. I have one specifically for my cross stitching.
Mhm.
Bumpstock Stitcher, I think is that one. One for my baking, which is Bumpstock Baker. And then I've got for all of my plant obsession
Yeah,
thing
she's
going
starting.
on.
You can't really see it from here, but
Yeah.
this is her little cross stitching corner right over here.
But yeah, I've got all kinds of pages, so you can find me in a lot of places.
If it is bump stock something, it's probably gonna be yours.
Odds are
So,
going to be me.
Yep.
It's kind of like our brand now.
Yes. I am forced into this because I'm on this show, but otherwise I wouldn't have any kind of stuff like that. So
He indulges me a lot.
but I will produce our other pages as well as we go.
Okay.
So anyways, klrnradio.com. On X, it is KLRN Radio. Check out klrnradio.com for all these shows. That's kind of our mothership that we work from.
Absolutely.
And they got so many shows, man. I played the commercial at the beginning. I'll play it again at the end just to give you an idea, where there are politics and current events, true crime. There's a book club. There's, men's health. There's you couldn't name. I think there's even a gardening one at one point. You have to you just go to klrnradio.com, search out their podcasts and their shows. There's a plethora of podcasts out there that's tied into the KLRN Radio. You're going to find something. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Great people.
If we're not your taste, I'm sorry that there's something wrong with you, that you don't like us. But seriously, like, follow, give us some good ratings. Check out KLRN Radio. Look at their shows. There's one called Juxtaposition. There's, I'm not even going to start naming because I'll miss somebody, and I don't want to miss somebody. Check them out. It's an easy drop down bar. You can scroll down. It gives you kind of an idea of what each show's about, when the show comes on. There's daily shows. There's weekly shows. There's monthly shows. Y'all check them out.
We've even
can't
done
go
like
wrong.
the plays live.
Oh yeah, they do.
Stuff.
They do
Which one is the one that they're
dramatizations of
doing?
plays.
Which one's the one they're doing?
Don't get me
coming
to
up.
lie. If you're gonna bring it up, you got to find out. But
I know there's one coming
they've
up.
done Wizard of Oz before, right?
Yeah, we've done
War
Wizard
of the Worlds.
I was on that one, and that was just so much fun.
So it's called the KLRN Radio Players, I think.
Let's see.
But there's a plethora of stuff. You're gonna find something you're gonna enjoy. So KLRN Radio also has a YouTube page as well. KLRN Radio on X.
I'm trying to find which one there.
On YouTube, klrnradio.com is their website. So check them out. Also check us out at KLRN Radio. You find something here. But Front Porch Forensics on YouTube, FP_Forensics on X. I am Bumpstock Ken on X. She is Bumpstock Barbie
I
on
can't find the
X.
name of it now. So
And we're going to run through that commercial like I told you, but otherwise we're going to sign out.
Yeah,
and
I still
stop
got red velvet
talking.
bars to make. So
And but hang on for a few more minutes. You'll see the commercial and whatnot. But we're going to step out and call it an evening. So thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all come back again. We won't be here next week. It'll be 2 weeks from now because of Easter. But Hope to see y'all again. In the meantime,
Don't ever do anything that's going to land you on one of our episodes.
that's right. We
Be
will.
careful out there, guys.
Exactly. Y'all be good and be smart.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go home. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go home. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go home. Good night, sweetheart. Well.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.